Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to my channel. My name is Marcelo, and I am here to show you one of the most underrated chess players in the history of chess. I know last video, at the end, if you watched me to the end, like a good little viewer, that I planned on evaluating the match between Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karyakin from 2016. But I searched up the match in YouTube, and I saw many evaluations of the matches by better players and people that got more views than me. So I was like, why would I do that? I don't want to give recycled garbage to my viewers. So I decided that I would go with the other route, which is going the unknown route, which may not get as many views, but I'm not doing this for views. I'm doing this for my passion of the game. And the most underrated player is Benko. Well, of course I'm doing it for the views. What am I talking about? Benko. He opens with pawn to g3. He wants to fianchetto, and so does Bobby. Sorry, guys, about the ad, by the way. I know I said at the end of the last video that I'm sorry, I can't really do much about it, though. Bobby basically, um, is a beast. I forgot to mention, Bobby Fischer is Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer versus Benko. The whole point of this video is to show you why Benko is underrated, and I did not mention the guy he's playing. So, a novelty here, knight to e2. I don't know why you play knight to e2. I don't know. Here I like to play knight to f3 because it prevents the move pawn to e5, but he castled and pawn to e5 is played. And no fear at all. Pawn to c6. I don't, obviously see the point. And pawn to a4. When a grandmaster plays pawn to a4, you pray to the heavens if you're, a fan of the other person that's playing, because that's obviously preparation, and it's probably some deep, vast preparation. So the move knight to d7 gets played. Not to a5. What am I talking about? Pawn to a5. Sorry, guys. It's late here in America, and I'm just running on fumes, and just did my homework, so I'm running on fumes. Pawn takes on d4. Knight takes on d4. And knight to, I believe, c5. Am I correct? C5, yeah. Knight to c5. What's the point of that? I'm not exactly sure. Are you trying to reroute the knight? Possibly. Pawn to h3. You're also putting pressure on this pawn. I completely forgot, which is why rook to e8 is played and rook to e1 is played defending it. So what's the point of h3? Bishop slides, because the knight slides, trying to attack his knight. Queen slides. What was the point of h3? Don't tell me it was f4. Ladies and gentlemen, when I say Benko was a crazy boy, Benko is a crazy boy. And I'll tell you the story of why Benko is a crazy boy, if you don't know the story already. Rook to b8. Queen to d2. Pawn b5. If Bobby basically said, if you want to play like that, let's play like that. En passant, Benko is a man of culture. En passant, pawn to b4, like we saw last game with Larson and Torre. We saw this b pawn push was pivotal in the game. Takes. Big train in the center. Knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Pawn pushes, and he slides it back to d2. Bishop slides over to b7. And so here, what you have to do, you solidify your position, attack. He obviously defends it with his rook. He's not an idiot. But what he plays next is absolutely insanity. Pawn to e5. If you're a grandmaster, you see that move. If you're like me, you don't see that move and you're in awe. But Bobby, such an intelligent player, like everyone knows. Takes, queen check. King to f2. Sorry, I gotta check that. And rook to e8. Takes here. And the pawn is being attacked 1-2 ways. Being defended 1-2 ways. So obviously you capture. And now only has one attacker. So now your queen has freedom. So Bobby saves this position, right? The subtle move, queen f3. And what's the point of the subtle move? Bobby doesn't trade. He prevents the movement, but has queen infiltration by Benko. And now there's a huge problem. He has to defend, and obviously you can't take that pawn because he's defending. King slides up to, I believe, f3. Yep, f3. Why am I second guessing myself? I'm so good. King slides over, pawn up to g4. Now the question is here: do you take opening up your king? He does that. He slides back. Benko, ladies and gentlemen, nerves of steel, because he allows this infiltration because he's not scared. Rook slide over. What you gonna do, big boy? Take. Okay. What are you gonna do now? Because when I slide my queen over to trade, right? And Bobby here realizes the position is lost. Bobby checked and resigned. Ladies and gentlemen, Benko won this game in pure dominance. Ladies and gentlemen, after this game took place, both players went back to the hotel. Now, when I say Bobby Fischer was a crazy man, Bobby Fischer was a crazy, crazy man. Let's just say two nerds battled it out, and they fought. And you know I'm going to be there for a nerd fight. Well, trust me, I'm a nerd myself. A nerd fight is a nerd fight. It's a little scary, but a nerd fight is a nerd fight. And they fought, which makes Benko even more of a legend. He won on the chessboard and in the fisticuffs battle. It's insanity how you lose both. If I lost both, I think I would retire. Let's move on to our next game. Next up on our agenda is the next game, which is Benko versus Mikhail Tal. If you know Mikhail Tal, you know that is a legend of the game. So Benko here with the white pieces, his only win against Mikhail Tal, but still very impressive. This is a tournament in the Caraco candidates as well. Pawn to g3. Benko, one of Benko's favorite moves. They both fianchetto, d4, d6. So they transition into a King's Indian, much like we had in the Fischer match. So what makes this any different at all? Well, nothing. It's just that a5 is played. So Mikhail Tal basically tells Benko, I'm not Bobby Fischer. Do I look like Bobby Fischer? I'm not Bobby Fischer. So pawn to b3 completely changes the opening, because now Benko gets what he wants. He gets that bishop on a3, and you see how powerful this bishop is. It sees everything on this diagonal. So now Black has this diagonal, but that diagonal is like looking into a dead end, like looking at the paint dry on the wall. So he decides to open it up a little bit. Benko is known for allowing this little transition. He's basically saying, you can take the pawn, but what else do you get? King knight back. Bishop slides back because he wants the diagonal to himself. And knight slides back there. He's playing a very... You notice, f4 again! Last time it was h3, f4. Notice how Benko has these little intricacies. He finds them. Again, same position we basically had. Basically the same thing. The difference, if I had to say the difference, if I had to go back, right? If I had to say the difference between these two, there is none. Except there's no pawn on h3 and there's no pawn on a5, right? So there's no pawn on a5 and there's no pawn on h3, and there's also a b6 somehow. I don't know how that pawn got to b6. Don't ask me. Bishop slides over to f3. Kind of a waste of a tempo in my opinion, but I kind of see what they're building at. You don't want to let them push this pawn, but they say anyways. And Benko just won the game. He didn't win the game of chess, but he won Connect 4. So big props. And takes. What do you take with? Nothing. Why? This bishop is more powerful. It's not 1-for-1. It's not 3-for-3. Well, 3.1-for-3. It's more so this bishop is so powerful. That knight, where's it gonna go? It's not gonna go. It's not gonna go to d3. And now that pawn is there, it's definitely not gonna go to e4 unless you push it. Well, the queen didn't slide over, and now you're pinning the knight, so it's not going anywhere. So that trade would have been detrimental to the position. So he slides over, gives a check, and he slides his knight in. That is insanity. And the idea is you win the knight. You're trying to win the knight. Sorry, I'm not trying to win the knight. I don't know what the idea is of that. If we can go back, I do see the idea. Not. The point of this I don't fully know. Just to move that pawn. I don't fully know. I can't go back in time and ask Mikhail Tal what his idea was. I can't ask because Mikhail Tal sacrifices. There's his sacrifices and there's correct ones, but I really don't see that. And pawn takes f6, and again, it's like he just kills his opponents. He may not have won this candidates and a resignation from Mikhail Tal, but it's not like he won the candidates, but what he did do is leave a lasting imprint on the game of chess. Ladies and gentlemen, I want this to be a life lesson. It does not matter how much you impact the world. It matters in what way you impact the world. Benko impacted the game of chess by bringing excitement to the game. And whatever you're doing right now, you are bringing excitement to your life. And as long as it makes you happy, it should not matter what anyone else thinks. And I guess that's kind of deep for a chess channel, especially when you're recording at 1 a.m. and you have class tomorrow. But what I'm trying to say is that Benko is a representation of all of us. And as deep as it might seem, Benko is a legend. Benko went on to lose this candidates. What place did he get? I'm not exactly sure. Let me check right now, actually. I probably should have checked earlier. Although I was studying on the Magnus Carlsen, Sergei Karyakin. There was Tigran Petrosian. And Benko actually got above Mikhail Tal and below Bobby Fischer. So, there was obviously a lot. Viktor Korchnoi also in there. Korchnoi, what am I talking about? When your friends ask who the hell is Benko, tell them Benko is an absolute legend of the game. I love Benko. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for watching all the way through. I know I have a lot of errors. I know I have a lot of brain farts. I know I have a lot of mistakes. And that just means so much to me that you guys are willing to sit through this and watch this. Remember the name Benko. I will most likely... I don't know what I'll do. I'll either choose or run a poll depending on how many viewers I get, but I'll most likely probably run a poll. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and I really appreciate it. Signing off.